what goes up.
Oi, Marie! Oi, Marie!
Deep in the heart of Texas.
The shadow
I bet it's Manischewitz.
No, lady. I buy strictly American.
Time now for spinning my dad's vinyl. Here with all his skips, scratches, and pops is my dad, Frank Vaccarello.
Thanks, sweetie, and thank you for tuning into episode 177 of Spinning My Dad's Vinyl. Here's the second record of a 2-disc set that spent just as much time among my own records as it did my dad's. There was a point where neither one of us remembered whose collection it actually belonged in. Like I've said before, my dad and I had similar taste in music. This featured artist is just as much among my favorites as he is my dad's. I still remember sitting in the Richfield Coliseum awestruck at what I was witnessing him do on the stage, and I witnessed that performance with my dad and my mom. And when we get done with this episode, you'll know why they called him Mr. Show Business. So, get ready to hear music written over the course of 4 decades and then rearranged for one of the best overall stage entertainers the world ever saw in volume 177, Sammy Record 2.
Chicago, Chicago, that toddle in town, that toddle in town. Chicago, Chicago, let me take you around. Bet your bottom dollar you lose the blues in Chicago, Chicago, the town that Marty Fay could not close down. He gave it a good honest try, though. They got a great street, it's called State Street. I just want to say, allow me to say, that they do things they ain't got guts enough to do in L.A. Hey, why, I had the time of my life. I saw a man who danced with his wife, and his name was Bruce. In Chicago, man, that's my hometown. We got a great street called State Street. I just want to say it. Allow me to say that we do things they wouldn't even do on Broadway. Hey, I'll be happy as I can be whenever they reopen up the Shapery in Chicago. You can keep San Francisco. Give me Chicago. My hometown. Illinois.
Spinning My Dad's Vinyl.
They heard the breeze through the trees, singing weird melodies, and they named that just the start of the blues. Then from a jail there came a wail from a downhearted frail, and they played that as a part of the blues. Now from a whippoorwill sitting high on a hill, they took a new note, they pushed it through a horn till it was worn into a blue note. You gotta believe me, they nursed it and they rehearsed it and then they gave out the news that the Southland really gave birth to the blues. From a whippoorwill high on the hill, they took a new note. Lord, they pushed it to a horn till it was worn into a blue note. And don't you know that they nursed it, they rehearsed it, when they were ready, they gave out the news that the Southland gave birth to the blues. Oh, they nursed, rehearsed, and gave out the news that that old Southland gave birth, the birth to the blues.
There is Sammy Davis Jr. with a double shot to get us started, live and in concert from where, I don't know. The album cover doesn't say anything about it. In fact, the origins of most of the songs on this record are hard to track down. First, we heard Chicago, That Toddlin' Town, written by Fred Fisher and published in 1922. Sammy recorded that live several times. Then it was Birth of the Blues, composed in 1926 by Ray Henderson, with lyrics by Buddy DeSilva and Lou Brown. It was a song Davis recorded in 1954, which was released as a single. It then appeared on the albums The Decca Years in 1954 and Starring Sammy Davis Jr. in 1955. Okay, why this record for this episode? Well, first, this is an amazing album filled with mostly live versions of some Sammy Davis Jr. hits. And he was as much a part of my family's musical lives as Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin were. This two-album set was one of my favorites to use when I was DJing weddings and anniversary parties in the 1980s. There are several live versions of songs on this record, which were definitely twisted to meet Sammy's unique style. In fact, he had just as unique a phrasing style as Old Blue Eyes himself. His onstage presence was just as cool as Dino's. And that's what always made this artist so special and was a real connection between me and my parents. The show my parents and I saw with Frank and Sammy was one of the highlights of my life. Well, you probably haven't heard this next song sung quite like this before.
Yeah, go ahead and get funky there. Well, yeah, well. Lord, keep that groove you got it going. Keep the groove you got it going. I can dig it, I can dig it, I can dig it, 'cause I like it, 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 I like it. Sounds like Count Basie. No, that drives me crazy. This is a number that I did with the Count a long time ago. You're nobody till somebody loves you. You're nobody till somebody cares. You may be king and you may possess the world and its gold. Gold can't bring you happiness when you
you're growing old, you know the world, yeah, the world will be the same. Better try to change it. I mean, by the time the stars are still up above, but there ain't nobody now, there ain't nobody till somebody loves you. So you better find, you better run out and snatch yourself somebody to love. You're nobody till somebody loves you. I mean, you're nothing till somebody cares. You know that you may be king, you may possess the world and tons and tons of gold, but a 747 ain't gonna make it for you, baby. Not if you're tired and you're feeling old. You're never gonna change it. I mean, as long as the stars, they keep on shining above. You ain't nobody, you're nobody till somebody tells you that they love you. So you find yourself somebody. Go out and even try to buy yourself somebody. But get yourself somebody. You better do it, you better do it. Get it on, get it on, get it on now. Yeah. Don't you know the world? Wow. I mean, as long as the stars, they keep on shining above. You ain't nobody, won't be nobody till someone socks it to you. So you better find yourself somebody. If necessary, go out and steal your best friend's old lady. Wow! But get yourself somebody. Till
How about that for a version of You're Nobody Till Somebody Loves You? Written by Russ Morgan, Larry Stock, and James Cavanaugh, and published in 1944. I'm not sure they heard that version in their head when they first wrote it. He recorded a studio version of that with Count Basie for the 1965 album Our Shining Hour. Plus, it's a song you heard Dean Martin sing just a few episodes ago. Okay, let me tell you about my dad's vinyl I have chosen for this episode. Sammy Davis Jr. Sammy. On the Sessions label, number ARI 1001. It's a 2-vinyl LP compilation format, released in 1976. Its genre is jazz pop, and its style is vocal swing. We'll hear 7 of the 13 songs from record 2. Now, Sessions was a budget label that sold mostly through TV and radio advertising, and that means no liner notes. So let's see what prices this record is being sold at on Discogs.com. $19.99 for the high and $0.25 for the low, which gives it a $5.67 average and a $4.19 median. It was last sold on March 27th, 2024 for $3 on that website. I found a copy on eBay for $18.30. I did not find a copy on Amazon. Now, my dad's copy is in remarkably good condition for what it's been through. Still fair to poor on a real scale. There's plenty of crackling on the quiet parts and definitely some noise between the tracks, but mostly the surface is scuff-free, which makes it for some pretty good listening. The still very purple cover is in fair condition, no wear along the seams. The odd construction of this cover has held up pretty well. You can really see the outline form of the album through both the front and the back covers. And there's actually some original price information on the back cover, which is mostly around to sell you more albums. Let me read it for you. For copies of Sammy, Mellow Moments, Connie, or Solitary Dreams albums, please send $5.99 for 2-record set or $7.99 for 8-track or cassette tape to Sessions, 477 Butterfield Road, Lombard, Illinois, 60148. So I think I'll value my dad's vinyl at $1, but not so fast. I'm not selling this collection ever. Next up, Sammy sings this one with such conviction.
To dream the impossible dream. Thank you. To fight the unbeatable foe. To bear with unbearable sorrow. To run where the brave dare not go. To right the unrightable wrong. To love pure and chaste from afar. To try when your arms are too weary. To reach the unreachable star. This is my quest to follow that star. No matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to fight for the right without question or pause. To be willing to march into hell for a heavenly cause. And I know that I'll always be true to this glorious quest, that my heart will lie peaceful and calm when I'm laid to my rest. And the world will be better for this, that a man scorned and covered with scars still strove with his last ounce of courage to reach, just to reach, let me reach the unreachable star.
That's always been one of my favorite versions of that song, The Impossible Dream, composed by Mitch Lee with lyrics written by Joe Darian. The song is the most popular song from the 1965 Broadway musical Man of La Mancha and is also featured in the 1972 film of the same name, starring Peter O'Toole. Sammy recorded a version for the 1969 studio album, The Goin's Great. All right, it's tough to quickly summarize the life of such a talent, but I'll try. Sammy Davis Jr., born on December 8, 1925, in Harlem, New York City, was an iconic American entertainer whose career spanned over 5 decades. From a young age, Davis was thrust into the entertainment world, performing with his father and uncle in the Will Maston Trio. His undeniable talent as a singer, dancer, actor, and musician established him as a formidable player by the early 1940s. Despite the racial barriers of the time, his dynamic talent won him critical acclaim on Broadway, and he became a star attraction in the vaudeville circuit. In the 1950s and 1960s, Davis became a prominent figure in American entertainment, joining the ranks of the Rat Pack alongside Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Joey Bishop, and Peter Lawford. This affiliation enhanced his profile, leading to starring roles in films like Ocean's 11 and Robin and the Seven Hoods. Beyond the screen, Davis made significant contributions to music, recording several successful albums and hits such as The Candyman and What Kind of Fool Am I? Despite his popularity, he faced persistent racial prejudice and turned his experiences into advocacy for civil rights, using his influence to support the movement both on and off the stage. Davis's personal life was as dynamic as his career, marked by numerous highs and lows. His marriages, particularly to Swedish actress Mae Britt at a time when interracial marriage was illegal in many states, drew public and media scrutiny. Battling alcoholism and financial issues, Davis's resilience in personal and professional setbacks showcased his relentless spirit. He continued to perform until his health declined, eventually succumbing to throat cancer on May 16, 1990, at the age of 64. Sammy Davis Jr.'s legacy as a trailblazer in entertainment and civil rights continues to inspire and influence artists around the world. This next recording moved me to no end the very first time I heard it, and it still brings chills.
This land is mine. God gave this land to me. This brave and ancient land to me. And when the morning sun reveals her hills and plains, then I see a land where children can run free. So take my hand and walk this land with me. Yes, walk this golden land with me. Though I am just a man, when you are by my side, with the help of God, I know I shall be strong. Though I am just a man, when you are by my side, with the help of God, I know I can be strong. To make this land our home, if I must fight, I'll fight to make this land our own, until I die. This land is mine.
There is Exodus, composed by Ernest Gold. It serves as the main theme song to Otto Preminger's epic film Exodus, based on the 1958 novel of the same name by Leon Uris, which tells the story of the founding of the modern state of Israel. This track was recorded sometime around 1972 and was never released on any of his official albums. However, it was released in 1975 on this K-Tel LP entitled The Sounds of Sammy Davis Jr., which is also mostly a greatest hits compilation with a few oddities and a few other live ones with unknown origins. It sounds like the same track you just heard. Speaking of Israel, time now for this episode's interesting side note. And it has to do with how Sammy Davis Jr.'s conversion to Judaism in 1960 was met with skepticism, derision, and yes, jokes by the members of the groups he claimed and embraced. I mean, when Sammy appeared on All in the Family, Archie Bunker made a statement that America was thinking, "You don't look Jewish." By the way, you can hear that exchange in volume 159, Those Were the Days, published earlier this year. Here's an online article I came across in research. When Sammy Davis Jr. converted to Judaism in 1960, it was big news. He was only the latest celebrity to do so. Marilyn Monroe had converted in 1956 to marry Arthur Miller, and Elizabeth Taylor had converted in 1959 to marry Eddie Fisher. But his conversion was especially controversial, both because of his racial background and the shifting dynamics of Jewish ethnicity, writes scholar Rebecca L. Davis, who, by the way, is unrelated to Sammy. Davis adapted to the attention that his choice drew by insisting that his highly unusual combination of racial, ethnic, and religious identities was inherently harmonious. Blacks and Jews had similar histories of oppression and marginalization, he explained, and he admired the Jewish people's history of overcoming diversity. Jews, Sammy Davis Jr. said, were a swinging bunch of people. In addition, writes R.L. Davis, Jewish masculinity offered a heterosexual style that worked for a short-lived man who could outdance, outtalk, and outsing anyone with whom he shared the stage. Davis constructed a narrative of selfhood that defied the politics of ethnic inheritance. He also made it part of his shtick. Black, Jewish, Puerto Rican on his mother's side, and one-eyed, he'd lost an eye in a 1954 car accident, playing with and against stereotypes. Quote, "When I move into a neighborhood, I wipe it out," unquote. The entertainer was no stranger to racism. His nose was broken more than once by whites in the segregated armed forces, permanently affecting his facial profile. An excellent impressionist, he broke taboos on black performers, imitating white stars like Astaire, Bogart, Brando, and Grant. He was more or less forced to marry a black dancer as a publicity stunt in January 1958 to divert attention from the fact that he was dating white actress Kim Novak. The Hollywood marriage, supposedly ordered by a mob boss at the studio's behest, lasted only a few months. When Davis married Swedish actress May Britt, who also converted to Judaism in late 1960, interracial marriages had been legal in California for a dozen years, but such marriages were still illegal in 23 other states. The entertainer's conversion was ridiculed by his showbiz colleagues and treated skeptically, if not with hostility, by black and Jews at large. Davis's racial authenticity was questioned. He was called opportunistic, a sellout, and accused of wanting to be white. As the 1960s progressed, black nationalists became even more outspoken about him. Meanwhile, American Jews had struggled through the 20th century to be considered white in America's white supremacist order. Sammy Davis Jr.'s celebrity conversion raised all sorts of questions about the definition of Jewishness. Was it a question of spirituality or ethnicity, sociology, or biology? Just by doing his thing, Davis upset categories and definition of race and ethnicity, of racial identity and religious identity. R.L. Davis uses the term ethnically uncanny to describe the backlash amongst Davis's entertainment peers, Jewish and Gentile alike. A comedian from Alabama at a 1963 roast of Davis said, "White folks back home, quote, wouldn't know what to burn on the lawn," unquote. Milton Berle, dressed in drag as May Britt at Davis's bachelor party, sang "My Yiddish Mau Mau" in parody of "My Yiddish Mama." That many people, Jews and non-Jews alike, measured his religious sincerity against the color of his skin says more about the racial and religious politics of the times than it does about Davis and his quest for a spiritual home. Now, that appeared in the online article Sammy Davis Jr.'s Conversion Mishigas, written by Matthew Wills. Sorry if I messed that up to my Jewish listeners. It was published March 9th, 2022 on the JSTOR Daily website. There was also a much more in-depth article based on R.L. Davis's research by Beth Harpaz that I found interesting. That one was published February 23rd, 2023 on the Jewish news-based website Forward. And I'll drop both of those links in this episode's liner notes. Okay, Frank Sinatra sang My Way, but Sammy had his own song to say basically the same thing.
Whether I'm right or whether I'm wrong, whether I find a place in this world or never belong, I gotta be me. I gotta be me. What else can I be but what I am? I want to live, not merely survive. And I won't give up this dream of life that keeps me alive. I gotta be me. I gotta be me. The dream that I see makes me what I am. That faraway prize, a world of success, is waiting for me if I heed the call. I won't settle down, won't settle for less, as long as there's a chance that I can have it all. I'll go it alone, that's how it must be. I can't be right for somebody else if I'm not right for me. I gotta be free. I've gotta be free. Daring to try to do it or die. I've gotta be me. I'll go it alone. That's how it must be. I can't be right for somebody else if I'm not right for me. I gotta be free. I just gotta be free. Daring to try to do it or die. I gotta be me.
I Gotta Be Me, a song that appeared in the Broadway musical Golden Rainbow starring Steve Lawrence and Edie Gourmet. The music and lyrics for the musical were composed by Walter Marks in 1967. Sammy Davis Jr. recorded the song as the title track of his 1968 Reprise studio album, while the musical was still running on Broadway, and released it as a single late that year. It became a surprise hit. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I enjoyed bringing it to you. I will always look forward to hearing Sammy's voice, seeing his acting, or watching his incredible musical talents on any number of instruments. And I loved that we heard his own take on a couple of songs made even more famous by a couple of his Rat Pack pals. I enjoyed how he treated songs like the two I mentioned, sung by Frank and Dean. I loved that description I read earlier of him as a lithe man who could outdance, outtalk, and outsing anyone with whom he shared the stage. And I witnessed that happen when he shared the stage with Frank Sinatra in March of 1988 at the Richfield Coliseum. And yes, this record belongs in my dad's collection. By the way, you can hear record 1 of this set in episode 136 of this show. So, let's take this vinyl for one more wild spin, man.
What goes up must come down. Spinning wheel, got to go round. Talk about your trouble, it's a crying sin. Ride a painted pony, let your spinning wheel spin. You got no money, and you got no home. Spinning wheel, all alone. Talk about your trouble, you'll never learn. Ride a painted pony, let the spinning wheel turn. Did you find a directing sign on the straight and narrow highway? Would you mind a reflecting sign? Just let it shine within your mind and show you the color that is real. Someone is waiting just for you. Spinning wheel, spinning true. Drop all your trouble by the riverside. Ride a painted pony and let your spinning wheel fly. Ha! Ha ha! Ha ha! Just for you. Spinning wheel, keep on spinning true. Drop all your trouble by the riverside. Ride a painted pony and let your spinning wheel fly. Grab a painted pony and let the spinning wheel fly. Let the spinning wheel fly. Your spinning wheel do its own thing and fly. Thank you, Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
That was a wild ride on The Spinning Wheel, written by David Clayton Thomas of Blood, Sweat, and Tears in 1968, and of course made famous by that band. This was taken from Sammy's 1970 LP, Something for Everyone. And there you have selections from probably what is among my favorite vinyl in my dad's entire collection. So thanks for tuning into Volume 177, Sammy Record 2, however you did. If you want more information about this show, head over to spinningmydadsvinyl.com. I'll be back next week with all my skips, scratches, and pops for Volume 178, Headliners. Until then, go with the flow, my friends.